This video is made using AI technology. The information discussed is based on real scientific research. Today, you go to the gym, you lift weights. Maybe a year later you feel strong. Maybe you step into a match. You beat your opponent, or you lose. But at the end of the day, this is your choice. Nobody forces you to hunt in a cave. Nobody asks you to wrestle an animal with your bare hands. But here is something genuinely interesting. If you sat down for an arm wrestling match with an average ancient human today, you would most likely lose. And this is not an exaggeration. This is a fact based directly on scientific evidence. This is exactly what we are going to talk about in this video: how strong ancient humans actually were, and why even today's strongest people would look weak next to them. In 2017, a group of researchers from Cambridge University conducted a fascinating study. By examining the structure of ancient human bones, they tried to calculate muscle strength. The thickness of muscle attachment points on bone directly shows how much force was applied over time. And the results were genuinely shocking. The average Neanderthal man's arm strength was on the same level as a modern professional rower. But this Neanderthal never once stepped into a gym. That strength was simply the natural result of everyday survival. Now here is where it actually gets more specific. The researchers compared bone density and muscle markers across three groups: modern humans, early farmers from about 7,000 years ago, and hunter-gatherers from before agriculture. The hunter-gatherers won by a wide margin every single time. Their leg bones alone showed strength levels close to modern elite athletes, not average people. Elite athletes who train every day of their lives. So why were they so much stronger than us? The answer is not genetics. Studies on DNA show ancient humans were not built with fundamentally different muscle potential than we have today. The real answer is lifestyle. Every single day of their life was physical labor, walking long distances, carrying heavy loads, climbing, digging, throwing, running. There was no rest day, no day off. Their body had no choice but to become strong, because weakness meant death. Think about this for a second. A modern elite athlete trains for a few hours a day, then rests, eats a carefully planned diet, sleeps 8 hours. An ancient human did physical labor for 12 to 16 hours a day, every single day, from childhood until death. There was no concept of rest days built into their world. And here is something that makes this even more interesting. Researchers studying the Chumash people of California, a hunter-gatherer group studied extensively by anthropologists, found something remarkable. Their upper body bone strength resembled that of modern rock climbers. Not because they trained specifically for grip strength, but because gathering food, building shelters, and crafting tools required this kind of strength constantly. Now let's talk about actual raw numbers. Grip strength is one of the most reliable indicators scientists use to measure overall physical power. A study on preserved ancient skeletal remains estimated that grip strength in early hunter-gatherer populations was significantly higher than in modern populations, even compared to manual laborers today. Some estimates suggest ancient humans could generate grip force close to that of professional climbers and gymnasts, again, without any dedicated training. But here's the twist that nobody expects. Ancient humans were not bodybuilders. Their muscles were not built for size. They were built for endurance and explosive power combined. This is a completely different kind of strength than what we associate with modern gym culture. A bodybuilder today might have bigger muscles, but an ancient hunter could likely outlast him in almost any physical task requiring stamina, coordination, and repeated exertion. Their bodies were optimized for survival, not appearance. Now here is where the story gets darker, because this level of strength came at an enormous cost. Researchers examining ancient skeletons found extremely high rates of stress fractures, joint degeneration, and repetitive strain injuries. Some skeletons show wear patterns similar to what modern factory workers develop after decades of repetitive heavy labor, except ancient humans developed this by the age of 20. Their strength was not a gift, it was the result of relentless physical demand, and it destroyed their bodies over time. Life expectancy was short, partly because their bodies simply wore out from the sheer physical toll of daily survival. So how does this compare to a modern strong man? Even elite modern athletes who train specifically for strength cannot replicate the exact type of full-body functional strength ancient humans had. Because we train specific muscles in isolation, ancient humans trained their entire body simultaneously, every single day, through tasks that required strength, balance, endurance, and precision all at once. If you took a modern professional strongman and placed him in a Paleolithic environment, he might have bigger muscles, but within a few weeks of actual survival tasks, hunting, tracking, building, carrying, climbing, his body would likely adapt or break down trying to catch up to what ancient humans could do without even thinking about it. Now, does this mean ancient humans could beat modern athletes in a controlled competition? Not exactly. Modern athletes have access to nutrition science, recovery methods, and specialized training that ancient humans never had. But in raw, functional, real-world survival strength, the evidence overwhelmingly favors our ancestors. So next time you finish a tough workout and feel proud of your strength, remember this: an average ancient human with no gym, no protein shakes, no rest days, was likely stronger than you in ways that actually mattered for survival. Their strength was not something they chose. It was something they had no choice but to become. And in some strange way, this might be one of the most humbling truths about human history. We built machines, gyms, and science to try to recreate what our ancestors simply had, just by living each day of their lives. Now let's talk about something most people never think about. Grip strength was not the only place where ancient humans dominated. Researchers examining thousands of years of human remains found that the bones of ancient hunter-gatherers were significantly denser and thicker than the bones of people living today. Not slightly denser, dramatically denser. Some studies found bone density decreasing by nearly 20% once populations shifted from hunting and gathering into early farming and settled life. Think about what that actually means. The moment humans started sitting more, working less physically, relying on tools and animals to do heavy labor, our bodies began adapting to that ease almost immediately. Evolution does not waste energy building strength you do not need. So the very same mechanism that made ancient humans incredibly strong is the same mechanism quietly making modern humans weaker with each passing generation. There is also something fascinating happening in the world of professional sports today. Some sports scientists have started comparing the biomechanics of elite athletes to reconstructed models of ancient human movement. And the similarities are eerie. Olympic javelin throwers show shoulder rotation patterns almost identical to what researchers believe ancient spear throwers used tens of thousands of years ago. Some of our most elite modern athletic techniques may not be modern inventions at all. They might simply be the rediscovery of movement patterns our ancestors mastered out of pure necessity. It is not just adult ancient humans who were remarkably strong. Evidence from child skeletal remains suggests that even children in hunter-gatherer societies were performing physically demanding tasks from a very young age. By the time a child reached their early teenage years, their bone density and muscular development were already approaching what many modern adults never reach in their entire lives. This raises an uncomfortable question. Could a 12-year-old from 50,000 years ago have physically outperformed the average adult man alive today? Many researchers now believe the answer is yes. Let's also talk about height. It is a common myth that ancient humans were significantly shorter than people today. While this is true for certain periods, especially right after the agricultural revolution when nutrition declined, some hunter-gatherer populations before farming were nearly as tall as modern humans. It was not lack of nutrition that made ancient humans small in some periods of history. It was actually the transition to farming, and the less varied diet that came with it, that temporarily reduced human height and strength for thousands of years. If our ancestors were this strong without any deliberate training, what does that tell us about human potential in general? It tells us the human body is built for far more than what most of us ever ask it to do. Modern life, with its chairs, elevators, cars, and desk jobs, has quietly convinced our bodies that survival no longer requires strength. But biologically, we are still built with the same fundamental architecture our ancestors had. This means the gap between you and an ancient human is not really about genetics at all. It is about environment and demand. Ancient strength was not just raw power, it was coordination under pressure. Every physical task ancient humans performed happened in chaotic, unpredictable, high-stakes conditions. A hunt could shift in half a second. Their strength was never separate from their reflexes, their balance, or their ability to make split-second decisions while their body was under extreme physical strain. Anthropologists studying isolated hunter-gatherer communities that still exist today have found strength and endurance markers strikingly similar to what we see in ancient skeletal remains. This is not ancient history anymore. It is a direct, observable result of lifestyle, even in the present day. So when we ask how strong ancient humans actually were, the more accurate question might be, how strong are humans capable of being when life demands it? Ancient humans were not a stronger species than us. They were the same species, placed in a world that left no room for weakness. Perhaps the most humbling part of this entire story is that this level of strength was never seen as impressive by the people living it. There was no applause for carrying a heavy load across difficult terrain. There was no recognition for outlasting a long hunt. It was just survival. And maybe that is the most powerful reminder of all. Strength, real functional strength, was never meant to be something we chase in a gym for an hour a day. It was meant to be woven into the very fabric of everyday life, the same way it once was for every single person who came before us. I hope you liked the video, because it really took a lot of my time. If you like these types of videos, by clicking on the other videos appearing on the screen right now, you can watch them too. Thanks. Bye.